I am an ed tech with Canyon School District. Michelle is a teacher at Oak Hollow Elementary, and she's one of the teachers that I was able to work with and watch this past year, start integrating the flipped classroom method into her school day. And so I kind of just wanted to introduce what we're going to do during this section, this time. We are focusing on the F, the I, and the P in flip. And so that's the flexible environment and intentional content and being a professional educator. And so what we're going to do is Michelle's going to kind of go through how she started. As an elementary school teacher, I think flipping the classroom can be very intimidating or something that we're not exactly sure how to start with. And so she started small, and she did it very well and successfully because she didn't push herself too hard, but she did try something that was outside of her comfort zone. And I think that that's very admirable as a teacher. So she is going to explain how she started. If you have questions along the way about anything she did, please stop or ask. We want this to be back and forth communication. We're happy with that. And then she's going to talk to you about what it looked like in her room. And so we'll spend the first like 30 minutes just kind of talking to you. And then I'm going to show you a couple of tools that she and I both have found very useful in an elementary environment for doing this. We're going to focus on blend space, or that's not what it's called. I'm doing blend space, but the other one is lesson paths now. It was mentor mob, or it still is mentor mob, but it's lesson paths now. So we're going to do that and give you the opportunity to start creating some of those and try out those tools. Have any of you, just out of curiosity, raise your hand if you've used blend space before? Yes. Anybody lesson paths or mentor mob?
Can you say again?
Blend space. Okay, this is good. I love that. Okay, so Michelle's going to go ahead and get started.
So when I first thought about flipping my classroom, I was like, I teach 5th grade, thank you, sorry. I teach 5th grade, and I thought, I don't think I can do it. That's a high school thing. It's so easy, they only teach one subject. And then I realized I really only teach one subject, but I teach all of them. But if you look at it, it's just one subject at a time. So I picked one that I was pretty comfortable with to start with. So I picked science. And the reason I picked science was because you can do so many hands-on things that are pretty easy to create in your classroom. So my 5th grade team, we've divided up our science units. So I only teach 2 of the science units. So I just started with my very first science unit that I was going to teach, and I thought, I'll try it. If it goes terribly, then no loss. And if it goes great, then awesome. So my first unit I teach is the scientific method. And so that's just where I started. I picked what I was going to do, which may seem not like, that's easy, but it was actually really hard for me to decide which one I wanted to do, because in elementary, you teach everything. So I started with science, and then, so then I decided I needed to get my parents on board. So that was the second thing that I needed to do, was figure out how was I going to sell it to my parents. How was this going to be beneficial for them and for me? Because if they weren't willing to help their students at home, they weren't going to do the work that was required at home. So I started writing a parent letter, and I just started writing what I felt about a flipped classroom. And then I had Lindsay proofread it, I had my principal read it, I had a parent read it, and give me their feedback and how can we change it and how do we make it really beneficial. And then I got my parents' support. And they all were like, this is such a great idea. I haven't run into any parents so far, fingers crossed I guess, that have been like, this sounds terrible.
Can I ask, what kind of demographic are you dealing with?
I teach in a very affluent area.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
I do. And so they all have technology available to them, but I also, no, I'm glad you brought that up.
I know.
But my area also, school is not a priority.
Okay.
dance is a priority, football is a priority, family vacations is a priority. And so that's why I was really trying to get my parents sold, because I countless times have parents who say, well, we didn't read this month because we were at dance 6 days this week. Or, well, we have football camps. And so that's why I really wanted to get my parents sold. So it was more the importance of school and not the technology piece.
And to kind of interject with that as well, so I work at Ocala as well, which is that demographic, and then I work at a school on the other side of our district that is the opposite demographic, and have teachers doing it the same way. Kind of, I use her as my little model and talk about her and tell them, just try this little piece. And we've found some different ways around the lack of technology as well, which I'll share in a few minutes.
Parents have phones.
Yes,
or
they
do, and there's the library too. But
yep, that's what I was gonna say.
You know, I was just wondering because I hear those excuses too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not dance or football. We were just busy.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I'm going to give you these at the end. We do have her resources. We didn't get them on the website fast enough, the Flipping Utah website. So we just have a QR code that takes you to some of the stuff we'll show you today. Her parent letter is there, and some of the resources and tools that we're using. So
yeah,
we'll give you that.
And I told my parents in my parent letter, I sent it home about a week before, and I said, if you will have problems with technology, you need to let me know now. And none of them had any problems, and so, or nobody contacted me. And I told my students too, we read the letter together as a class, and I said, this is what's going to happen, you have to commit to this. And they were actually really excited to be doing the experiment part and the hands-on part with me, which is why I love the whole idea of a flipped classroom, is because they're doing the boring, I don't know, I think it's kind of boring to stand up here part at home at their pace, so I'm not boring Johnny over here while Karen over here has no idea what the word fraction means, or in science what observation means, and they can kind of do it at their own pace at home. So after I wrote my parent letter, I realized I needed what was going to be the easiest way for them to access it. And we're all about ease, right? If it is not easy and at our fingertips, we're not doing it. The kids won't do it. They're so used to fast-paced, easy, I want it now. So, and we're teachers, so free. Free is best. Free and easy. So I created a Weebly, and
I'll go there.
Okay, thanks. So this is my Weebly, and if you'll click on the science.
You have full access on this if you pay the
I don't.
$49.
Nope.
Whatever.
I don't. I just use the free one.
Yeah. You can do everything on here that
Yep.
you want.
Yep. And like if you scroll down, even on this one, I have a search bar, free. I have my contact information. If you scroll down even more, my parents can email me right from my Weebly, and it comes directly to me. It's all free. I don't pay.
She embeds using YouTube, right?
Yep.
And through lesson pass.
So I don't pay money for things like this. So under my science page, will you scroll all the way down to scientific method?
Yep.
So I started here, and I just put up my parent letter, because I don't want parents being like, well, I never got that to come home. Well, it was on my Weebly, so you knew that your kid was gonna have homework so often. And then I just sat down, and it took me about a half an hour to say, what are my objectives for my unit? What do I want my kids to know? And what days am I going to teach them? So I had my schedule, and it took me about a half an hour. So it wasn't like I just sat down, bam, I was done. It took a little bit of time, but now I don't ever have to redo the thing. I'll have to go in and change homework for, I mean, it's not gonna be December 18th, but that's the only thing. Now I know when I'm gonna teach what. So it was a one-time thing, and then I started putting it on my Weebly. And then I just started finding my videos. And my suggestion is start with just finding the videos. And when we show you lesson paths, it can give you like, you can ask challenge questions, you can create your own articles, you can do all this. I just focused on first finding the videos that I wanted to use. And it took a little bit of time just because there's really a lot of bad videos out there. Like, there are the ridiculous things. So I use mostly study jams, which is from Scholastic. And so I know they're gonna be quality, and my kids love them. And they have karaoke songs with them that we sing in my class, and my kids like get up and dance around to them. So study jams is one of my favorites.
studyjams.scholastic.com. If you want to go look at it, she talks about it.
And it has pretty much every math and science topic there is.
And do they have the link codes in them? Do you know, Michelle, or embed codes at all?
I don't do embed codes. I just link it because when you do lesson paths, you just link it in there and it pulls the video up. It embeds the video in it for you.
So you only need this link up here?
Yep, it's the only one. And then, so for scientific method, if you'll type in the search bar for scientific method.
Oh my gosh, don't watch me spell.
I put you on the spot, sorry. So, if you scroll down, it has different options, and then it, like this one, addition with regrouping, well that's a 1% match, so obviously that's not what you want, but it has scientific methods. So I just click on that one, and then I just take the link from above. And it has, yeah, they love it. But they also have the test yourselves, which I love, because that is where I make them accountable. So that's my next thing. I had to make them accountable somehow, because I know you guys have kids that are like, oh yeah, I totally did that. And then they come to, and they have no idea what you're talking about. So I needed to make them accountable for what they were doing. So I started with the study jams. I just said, your homework is to answer the test yourself questions on a sheet of paper and bring it back to me. And they brought it back to me on, I got a napkin once, I got a bill once. I was like, I'll just check this off, take it home to mom. They'll write it down. They have stuff at home to write it down, but they're doing it. And I had very few kids who want to do it because if they didn't do it the night before, they didn't get to do the activities. And they had to go on and sit with the laptop and do the test yourself while we were playing games. And I mean, if you have to sit there and watch your friends play a game, and you, I mean, they're not boring, but how many of you would rather play the game than watch the video? I mean, I'd rather play the game. So that was my incentive. So that was the second way I held them accountable. One, they had to do some kind of writing. They had to answer the test questions. They had to write something about it. They had to do an activity at home. And then the second way they were accountable was they would only get to participate in the hands-on part if they did the learning part at home. So after the first day I had a handful of kids who did it. That was it. And then they realized I was serious. And they had to sit with the laptops. And I told them, and I give them options. If you don't have technology, I'm at school before school. I have to be there anyways. So you are welcome to come and grab a laptop. And I know that our planning time is our precious time, but I found that they really didn't need my help with any of it. They just needed a place or a computer. And then I also gave them the options during their recess time. And I don't do homework every night. So it's not like every single day I had kids coming in, I didn't do it. I spaced it out so that it wasn't an every night thing, because one, my kids will not do homework every night. I can't even get them to read 20 minutes every night. So they're not gonna do this every night. So I spaced it out, and And then if it was only once a week, and like I said, they really don't need your help. The only thing they need is a location and the technology piece if they're not doing it at home. So after losing recess once for not playing the game, I didn't have any problems with wanting to do it. And I did have kids who'd come before school and say, I didn't get to do it last night, can I do it? Sure, go grab a computer, you know where they're at, get logged in. So that was, yeah.
So that was your first tool. What other tools did you use besides this one?
Weebly, so I use Weebly. And then Lesson Pass. And then, so where I found my videos, Study Jams, Teacher Tube, which Teacher Tube, some of the teachers are really boring. So you kind of need to screen the videos because you don't want them talking in a monotone voice. And some of them go really fast and they like miss steps. And so for 5th grade, I'm very particular, especially when I'm doing math. I've been working on my math one because I'm gonna flip my math this year. So I've been working on my math one. I know. So I'm flipping my math one, so I've been working on finding videos for that one. And some of them are a little bit, like just because it's on Teacher Tube does not mean it is high quality.
Have you used the Khan Academy?
That's the next one. Yep. And then Khan Academy, which is great too.
They're good.
And then I occasionally use a YouTube video, but you have to be careful with YouTube because one, it's blocked in the schools. So if your kids don't do it at home, you have to log in for them. It's not?
And granted, it's not.
It is
Oh,
in
lucky.
Canyons.
In Canyons, it is blocked for my elementary.
But you have to
But
embed
if
them or you get all the ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly was telling us in another session that if we embed it, the YouTube videos, then it should be able to play for them.
It should, and if you embed them, it
Okay.
takes all the ads and all like the pop-up video, you know, where
Yeah.
it has like that grid with all the
Did you
marching
guys
videos on
see
it.
I did not know
the
that.
little link to turn it off though?
No.
So down here, when you're going to get the embed code, so I'm just at YouTube at the videos,
Okay.
Okay.
and when I click on share down here and go to my embed code, if you come down here and you uncheck this show suggested videos when the video finishes, then you don't get any videos on the side, but also at the end, when it gets to that
That's
end
the
and then
scary
they pop up, you can turn that off too. So I just learned that trick yesterday and was like, yes!
Oh,
thank
I did not know
Turn it
that.
off.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So you'll check it.
Uncheck it.
So
that
I
takes
use-
all the awkwardness.
Uncheck.
the
Yep.
video. Yeah.
because you don't want to show suggested videos.
So what I would do, what I think I'm going to do actually, is go back and all my lesson path. The reason I like lesson path is because you can do multiple videos in a row, or you can put a video and some questions. So it's like a sequencing thing. So I think for that we'll show you lesson paths. We'll show you guys lesson paths. So that's awesome for if you embed it. I did not know that it would still work. Kelly, is it? I'm gonna ask you. Is it for Canyons too?
Yeah, that's who.
Yeah, if you're embedded, it should. We've had a lot fewer problems if you're
Okay.
embedded.
We'll try it and see, Michelle.
Yeah, awesome. And then, so lesson paths. I think those are pretty much.
And what about Edmodo? You used Edmodo too, didn't you?
I didn't use that for my flips as much.
You didn't.
No, I'll use it more this year just because of the reading one. But I just picked one site. Because when you start giving kids lots of options, it's too overwhelming for them. They need direction. This is exactly where you're gonna go. You're gonna click on this one that says homework for Wednesday, December 18th, and then they know what to do. Yeah.
So curious too. So you have a rubric or things that have to check off.
Uh-huh.
In another session, they talked about WSQ. Do you use that?
I don't know
for
what that,
yours?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I just,
It's basically a note-taking graphical organizer.
yeah. I didn't use that.
I was just curious.
We did Canyon, are you in Canyons?
Yeah.
So we did mastery, we did the mastery report card last year. And so I got a lot of my things like that in the classroom when we were doing the experiments. So at home, I just had them take the quizzes or answer a couple of questions. Yeah. Whatever paper they wanted to, they brought it to me. Yeah. So I could ask them to be more in depth, but I'm just trying to get them to do it. That was my goal last year when I first started. I didn't want anything too big. And I think that's the best advice I can give you. Start small. Start very, very small. Start with one subject, one unit. And then if it goes great, add on another one. But the smaller you start, the easier it is, because the more you start, I'm gonna do all of my whole year's prep right now. You're gonna be like, this is terrible. Why would anyone do this? But if you start small, I promise it's simple.
And from talking to Michelle today, we were discussing her plan for this coming year. And last year she just did science. And now this year she's adding math and she's doing a literature component as well. And so she went from one piece, and she didn't do every unit of science.
Nope.
She did a couple. So she might do 2 math units this year and then change them or adapt. And that's what I love, is that she didn't put too much pressure on herself, but she gave it a try.
And then I could go back and make changes. That video was terrible. They learned nothing. Take it off, find something new. Or if they came back and they still didn't really understand, I need to add more to that day. And I was lucky because we rotate for science, so I got to try it 3 times with every subject. So I got to do my scientific method unit 3 times so I can make the changes. So by the 3rd class, they were golden. Those kids knew the scientific method in and out. They knew exactly what to do. So it just takes time, and I know that we're always like, we don't have time, we don't have time, we don't have time. But I found that this took away it gave me more planning time. It gave me more time to do other things. Because now I wasn't so focused on what assessments am I going to give them? What are we going to do during class? What lecture am I going to give them? It was, they're going to do that part at home. All I have to do now is play the games. All I have to do now is the hands-on part, which that's the easy part. That's the part that we love to do. That's the part that makes teaching fun. And so I found that I had more time. I spent less time planning every day once I got it up and going than I did before. So it actually saves you time. In the beginning, I'm not gonna lie to you, I mean, it takes some time. It probably took me a couple of hours in all to get it really going. But now, I don't have to do anything for my science units.
Did you just base like whether or not the kids understood the video and received the instruction off of your questions you had them answer? Or was there ever a day where you're like, they didn't get that video at all, I'm going to redo the instruction in person?
Yes.
Kind of thing?
Yes.
Because I assume that
Yes.
be a little bit.
We had a discussion before we started every day, and we kind of went over what was on the homework the night before. And you can tell when your students have blank looks on their face, they're like, or if they're like, even if they're not saying anything, you can usually tell just by looking at them if they're understanding or not. And if they didn't, I reinforced through my activities. So I still didn't give out the activity piece because I didn't want them to think, well, she's gonna make me do the lesson part anyway, so I might as well not do it at home. But then I said, okay, you're gonna go home and watch the videos again. Now you have the same homework 2 nights in a row, so you need to watch it again. And they were pretty good about, because they wanted to do the activities.
And it also came through your interaction as they were,
Yes.
because you didn't have to spend so much time. I mean, I was only in a few of her actual science lessons in the class when they were doing their experiments, but you weren't spending as much time worrying about this one and this one, do they get it? You were able to listen to their conversations they were having while they did these activities and the things that you had presented for them.
Yeah.
I have a question, Chris. So the other sessions I've gone to, a lot of people have talked about Weebly and everyone's flipping their classrooms using Weebly. Has anyone done Canvas?
You can do Canvas. In fact, that's
Have you had
what
any success with those?
that's what Lindsay and we're talking about. I'm taking my literature groups, so my kids who read the same books, and they're going to be doing it at home. I'm going to flip that, and they're going to be answering questions and talking to each other, and we're going to try it on Canvas. So I think it's definitely possible. The reason why I use Weebly, it is so user-friendly. My parents, my kids, there are first graders who can successfully navigate Weebly. Not so much Canvas.
And we don't, in Canyon's district, we don't have student accounts for elementary at this point. So we're gonna try there's a free version of Canvas. We're gonna see what we can do with that. We just don't have student accounts for elementary. So that's why we don't use Canvas.
I'm already familiar with Canvas because I've used it in other venues. And I'm guessing Weebly is really not that difficult to navigate, but
no.
So it's just when I set this up, like if I choose Weebly or I choose Canvas, my idea is to use either one or the other and just stick with that.
And that's smart. So and Canvas is more of a learning management system, and Weebly is more of a website creator, but you can use them the same way. And like Michelle, she used Edmodo when she wanted the learning management system in elementary, because that gives the children an opportunity to go and write and reflect and respond the way you can in Canvas. So she used Edmodo for the learning management part. So if you're looking for something like that,
use a variety of different mediums to.
And you have to decide what works best for you. Weebly was what I chose to use because I was familiar with it, and it's so easy to use. I mean, you click and drag and type. It's so simple to use. So that's why I picked Weebly. I'm not familiar with Canvas. I've taken classes where I was a student in Canvas, and it was fine, but I've never been the instructor. So that wasn't really something that I was like, I want to investigate. So I knew Weebly, I knew it was easy to navigate, and I knew that my students would be able to navigate it, and my parents, which
that's important.
Your students will be more technology savvy than a lot of your parents will be, I have found. They're like, you click what, where? And I'm like, just click on it, one click, you're gonna be okay. And the kids are always showing them. And then I have found also with flipping it, my parents felt like they knew what was going on in the classroom. And they felt like they were more aware of what their kid was learning every day. It wasn't that they were just sending them off to school and hoping they were being taught. They saw what I was teaching, what their kids should be learning, and then they kind of helped too. So it was really positive. It really actually helped my parent-teacher relationships, because they felt like without having to come into my classroom, they were a part of my classroom, which I think is a very, very positive thing when parents are invested in what is going on in their kids' learning. So then,
I just have been going through the flips.
Oh, good.
You're good.
Okay. So then we were talking about what it looks like in my classroom. So what my routine was. So science was at the end of the day, and that's just how our schedule was. So they came in and they knew right away homework was out on top of their desk from the night before. So he came in, took the homework, checked off those who didn't do it, just knew to line up at the door. I didn't even have to tell them. They knew that they didn't do it. They knew I was going to know they didn't do it. They lined up at the door to go get a computer, and they just went and got the computer. So I didn't even have to do anything for those kids. They knew.
And what kind of computer do you have access to?
We have Macs.
So you have a lab?
A lab, yeah. Oh, yeah. And we have iPads. They can do it on the iPad.
So even if you just had like 1 or 2 iPads, could your students that have missed been doing it on 1 or 2 iPads with 1 or 2 computers?
Yes. Yep, totally. And yeah. And I never had more than 3 kids who didn't do it. I think one time I had 5, and it's because I assigned it on a Thursday, and then I didn't see them on Friday, and we didn't have school on Monday, and then it was Tuesday, and they just forgot. I kind of forgot that I even assigned it on Thursday.
And she also had 32 students last year.
I did.
So.
Oh, I did. So if I only had 5 who didn't do it out of my 32, I was
pretty good.
Yeah. So my most was about 3. Usually I had 2 or 3, and it wasn't the same kids, which I was kind of surprised about too. I thought it would be the consecutive, like, the same kids who don't do anything, but they all had different reasons. I was at dance last night. We went out to dinner for Mom's birthday last night. We did, but really 3 was pretty much my most I ever had that didn't do it. So they were pretty good about doing it. But again, I set up the incentive. I really push, we're doing fun things in class, so if you do it, and I think that's how I really sold it to my kids, was the hands-on part in my classroom. So, so they came in, they went and they got, if they didn't need it, if they had already done it, they started putting the desks together in groups because they knew we were going to be doing group work, and it became fast. And even with 3 classes, I had to teach the procedures once to all 3 classes, and then they got it. So every time they came into my classroom, they knew exactly what to do. And it was that way for every science unit that they came in. And it went really, really smooth. A couple hiccups here and there. I mean, it was a trial thing. And I told the kids, I was like, it's not gonna be perfect. You're gonna have to work with me. If a video doesn't work at home, please don't come in the next morning yelling and screaming about it. It's okay, just sit and we will talk about it and we will take care of it. So the first couple minutes after we went, we did a quick review. Oh, last night we talked about observation. What are the 5 things we use to make an observation? Bam, bam, bam. Okay, game time. And then they knew. And then we played games that reinforced the observation skills. And I could tell just from that very first game who got, you use all 5 senses, and who didn't. And it was my first one was a simple one. I took a piece of candy and I told them to use their 5 senses to write observations about the candy. They loved it. It was like a gobstopper. Like, one smarty. They loved it. And I could tell because some kids didn't pick it up to smell it. They didn't realize that smell was a sense that we use when we're observing things. Some kids ate it right away. And I said, if you do taste first, are you gonna be able to do your other 4 senses? Oh, and so it was so much more reinforcing I could do than if I just stood up there and said, let's talk about observation. Let's watch a video on how we observe, but the hands-on part of it. So, Lindsay.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you guys have questions so far up to this point.
Okay, so the one thing that I loved about the way Michelle did it is that she did not create the content this first year. And she may at some point go back and decide to use some of these great tools that we're learning about, like Explain Everything and Educreations and these screen recording tools, and make her own content. But to start out, finding that content and applying it and giving it to your students is a great idea, just to try. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the one that she used a lot, and they changed the name and I can't get it.
Lesson paths.
Lesson paths. And just so you know, what they did is lesson paths used to be just Mentor Mob, and now Mentor Mob is the paid version and Lesson Paths is free, but they're very different. They don't do the same things. So you don't pay for the paid version thinking you're going to get a bigger version of Lesson Paths. So if you want to go to Lesson Paths on whatever device you're at, it's lessonpaths.com.
And again, I did not pay for anything. Nothing that I used cost me any money. That was also a big thing for me. I wanted it to be free for me. Because what if I didn't like it?
And basically, I think of both these tools that we're going to show you as ways to compile or save all of these videos. And so you do want to create an account. But you can browse other people's playlists. So you could find, they call them playlists, not videos. So you could find a playlist by browsing that fit your needs. I think that that would probably be kind of difficult when they're compiling a bunch of different videos to find exactly what you're looking for, but you could do it. And so while I kind of talk for a second, if you want to create your account, just make a free account. And to do so, on your screen, it should have the Get Started, Create My Account. It will send you an email to confirm your email address while you're doing it. So I'm just gonna give you a second to go ahead and get those accounts created. You can, sign in with Google to this one or Facebook and use one of those as your means if you want to. I use Google whenever it gives me an option.
And I do not, so.
When we were talking about it today, I was like, well, I like the easiest way. Works for me. I like whatever's quick. So these lesson paths, they are embeddable. You also can get a link. There's a couple different sharing options. I don't believe you can share them to like YouTube or something. And
yeah.
Embed them. You can do that?
I think you can.
Okay, we'll see. We'll try.
I think we did that one.
I think we did. She and I played with them a lot to see what different things we could do with them. So someone was asking, about Weebly or Edmodo, or we played with it quite a bit, and we found this one pretty easy. Actually, both of them pretty easy to work into whatever tool you decide to use. So just pick one or two of these and just try it. So once you're in lesson paths, up at the top there's a Create button. And it comes to this page. Am I going too fast, or are we cool? I'm gonna do a quick demonstration, and then we want you to play for a few minutes and start kind of trying to create one. Okay, so up at the top, there's this Create button. Right up there. You'll come to a screen that looks like mine, or similar. And so then you would just name it. So you'd enter your title, playlist, so whatever that subject area was going to be. You can come back in and do editing and things. So that's always something that, you're like, oh, my students are going to see this, so I might not have the final thought in my head.
So it's not the big broad subject, it's the topic.
Yep, good point, yep.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to put math, you would want to put fractions.
Okay,
or,
just trying to picture.
I made it as specific as possible.
Like just narrow it down.
So, like I have one that is reducing fractions. It's not even fractions, it's specifically reducing fractions.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. So we're going to do addition. Actually, that's the name of the other one.
Oh.
I already got one in there named that.
Subtraction.
So yeah, do subtraction. We got to keep things really basic. And you have to put a description in. Okay, so I usually try to leave description blank because it's faster. You do have to put some sort of description to guide you.
I usually, because I don't like doing that part either, I put videos on subtraction, videos on, or lesson of subtraction, lesson about addition.
You can be very specific or very not. Then our type, we want it to be academic. And then you choose a category. You can choose multiple categories and it'll show up when people are browsing if you choose for it to. But you can also just choose one. So we're just gonna say math. And then you also can tag it. That would show up when people are browsing if you selected for it to be one that did. So that's just options for you. But so up here.
If I did observation for scientific method, a tag I would use is scientific method because it goes with part of that unit. It's just a more specific type. So sometimes you can do tags, but you don't have to.
Yeah, and you would only really need tags if you were making these public. So if they're unlisted, the tags do nothing for you as someone searching for your own. So if you were making this public, 2 lesson paths to share, then you can. But you also can leave it unlisted, and then anyone you send the link to or where you put it on your website or Weebly can get to it. So that's up to you. What do you do with them?
I do public.
She does public.
Just because it's one less thing to click.
But this part is important.
Yes.
who can edit this playlist. You wanna make it private, especially if you're giving it to your students, because they will go in and edit it. You could leave it public, like if it was for teachers. If you wanted it to be a resource that a teacher could go and then edit. But if you're using it for kids, make it private so they don't go and mess it up. And then you just press save. So this is the part I'm going to show you really quick, and then we're going to wander while you guys kind of try it, just to see how it works. So now we're at the part where my playlist is empty and I can add to my playlist. That's what they call them. So she's going to push add. Every time you try to add something to, it'll give you these choices. And this is where Michelle was saying, keep it simple at first. So you can paste a link, so it's not like, it doesn't take you to Khan Academy or take you to the website she showed. It is, you have that video link. So Michelle, will you go to, I think I have one, or just go get me a video? Yep. Please. Thank you. So she's gonna go to teacher 2. Now I would have watched this video and known it's what I wanted, but I like that she just isn't creating the content at first to start herself. So we're gonna pretend like this is what I wanted. So she clicks on it. All she has to do, she doesn't have to find the link code anywhere here. She can just go to the top and highlight it in the web browser and then copy it and paste it.
Or Command C.
Yep. And then she just pastes it in and then presses next. While this is going, it's loading for a second, it does take a second, you can see there's an upload file. So this is for those of you that are making your content already and you are making your own, or you have them on your computer or the video you want to include, you can upload that file there. I'm going to show you those two. I have an example I'll show you in a minute, but this is basically just putting a content page in there. So then you have your teacher 2. You can put a description for like what you want, what the objective is that it's reaching. I saw a teacher that she put an objective with each video, so what objective that is supposed to meet. Or just,
I'll also put like what I would expect them to do with that video. Mm-hmm. Answer the following questions 1 through 5. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And so then you just press save. You will notice down here there's a challenge button, and this is one of those things that Michelle was talking about that she kind of started to use later. And you can go back and edit any of these. So you can add kind of some of the other features, the challenge and the quizzes and the articles later once you've kind of got your skeleton. But you could put a question right here that they had to answer when they watched the video. So you can put it in there. And then you push save. Thanks, Michelle. You're a good controller.
Okay, thanks.
Then as it saves, so then your video comes here, and it shows you your playlist. If I want to add another thing, and you can see my video is going there, I just push the plus here to add another one. The same thing comes up. Right here, will you click on write article? Yeah. So I like this one because this could just be an intro slide or something, you know, like this is your objective for this assignment. Here's the things I want you to get out of it. Answer these questions. But it just has the regular document features that we can use. And you can put links and things in it as well. There's a little bit of options. So then, it's that, and just go to push save. Just say something. Perfect. Awesome. So now, and I kind of like the way this looks, so if you'll click right here, Michelle, click away.
Hold on.
Thank you. So this is just a page. So you can put content in here that you want them to read or have looked at. You could copy and paste an actual article into there, whatever directions. And then you still have your playlist here and you can continue to add. You can move them around. So if you actually have to click right here on the little lines and you can move their order. Once you've gone into it, you can delete it with the X or edit with the pencil. So there are choices once you're in there. Yes, ma'am?
So wait, you're not doing the whole unit on this. This is just one day's thing.
This is one day.
I'm just
no, yeah, exactly. So it's just one day that you want them to come look
this
at.
This is like your objective, your video or whatever you're reading or you're watching, and then your response to it.
Exactly. Yep.
Thank you.
So that's kind of how you go through creating. I want Michelle to show you one of hers that is finished. Well, we could just do the addition one. Go ahead and go to your Weebly, Michelle. Please.
Go to what?
Your Weebly.
Yeah.
And we'll just go to one of her finished ones. So when you embed it, this is what it looks like. So she embedded these.
Oh, I went past, sorry.
That's okay. So if you look, it comes to that first video. She put in a video. So it comes to the very first video. Up at the top, the kids press next, and it takes them through. So if you had an article page, you'd see that. If you had one of the quiz pages, you'd see that. And then when they're done, there's no more next, and it says playlist completed there on the right. And then on the left, they have that go back button as well. So that's all it is for the kids. So it's easy. It's an easy one click as they go through. And that's it. Do you have any questions about that part? Okay, we want to give you a minute to play with it, to try and find some videos, put them in, put a little content in. Michelle and I will wander around. If you have any questions, let us know and go ahead and try it.
So after you have created one,
oh,
we didn't show them how to do it. So I've done it. There's a little share button. There's edit, share, or more. You click on share, and then you can either link it or embed it. I embed it, and then you can change the border color if you want to, and then I just...
You can also change your width if you know any coding.
Yep.
And change it to fit in what you're doing. This is a good, just for those of you that don't know, 580 is a fine size to keep it at.
Yeah.
You can do like 600 to 800.
And then you can see Facebook, share to Twitter, share to LinkedIn, or pin it. But I just do the embed code, and then I go to my Weebly, and then when you're creating your Weebly, there's a little, over here is where you have all your options, and it will say embed, and you just click it and drag it and drop it where you want it to go, and then you paste the embed code and it will pop up. So I can...
Yeah, I'm so old. No, that's perfect. So while she signs in as herself, so that you can see that, go ahead and try that. Somebody said, you didn't show us the quiz. That's one of the buttons. So there was the 4 buttons. There was the link one, the upload, the, I can't think of what the other one is, the article, and then the quiz. Try the quiz button, because I didn't show it to you yet. So just click on that. You can see that you can enter in those quiz questions, create a quick little quiz.
So when you're in the Weebly, here are all your options. So, if I was in science, I just click on the embed code and I just drag it, and wherever the blue line is, that's where it's going to go.
And it's slowly.
I know it is. And then you just Command V and then click out of it, and it just puts it right in there for you.
And that works in lots of different, there's lots of different sites we can use to create our location. We're doing our home, so we'll call it.
Sometimes the file one is nice if you have something already saved to your computer that you've already created. So like we have shared reading for our science unit, so I always upload that as a file.
Verification.
So while you work, Michelle's handing out the card, and we did put a QR code that'll take you right to her Weebly. If you don't use QR codes, we also put our email addresses. Email her if you have questions while you're trying. Email me. Yeah, absolutely. Any resources you want.
Now click right here where it says click to set. There you go. And then you can V.
Some kind of disease.
That's the code. And then when you click off of it, there it is. Yes, you're so welcome. Got it. Okay. And now you can share it.
Okay, what if I don't want to share it? What if I want to just be able to edit it later?
Then you're done.
But it's still in here.
Oh, you want to delete it?
Yeah. Wait, I don't think I understand your question. Sorry.
Oh, and I don't know how we're Okay, so I can just go somewhere else and it's done.
Yep.
Okay.
Playlist completed. It will always be there.
Okay.
It just saves it right on Lesson Path, which is why I like it, because all my videos are always going to be saved on there.
Okay.
And I haven't run into, I've created lots, and I haven't run into like, your storage is full. I don't think they have, you can only do so many videos.
So something someone brought up a good question. So while you're working, if you look at the screen real quick, just glance up there. When I log in, that looks different than the first time you logged in. And it's because now when I log in, my saved lesson playlists are there. And so then I can look and see, you know, there's my playlist. I can see how far along I am. So I'm not done with this one. I'm only at step 3. I haven't completed it. But I have completed this one, and I'm only at step 1 on this one. So you can kind of see where you're at and get back to them. That was one thing Michelle was saying she really loves about it, is that all of her playlists are then there, and she can get to them and change them, add them. So I can come back in. We talked about, at first she just put videos in. Well, then if she decides she wants to add articles and put some objectives or some instructions or add a quiz, she can come back the next time she does that unit and try it and edit them anytime. So they can always be fluid and moving. I like that too. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one in about a minute. If you're done, you could go ahead and go to Blend Space and start creating an account. If you're not, that's fine, no stress. It looks like this, blend, the word blend, and the word space.
So now you just start dragging it again.
Okay, while you last few people finish up what you're doing, if you want to make sure that you've saved it, and I will remind, I would select whether you're done or not. I'd push save always. So I'll show you again if you're not sure. So up here at the top.
If you got a card, so you need any help.
So when I'm editing, just because I say done editing does not mean I'm done. I'm just saving. So just click done editing if you haven't yet. And then when you go back to your home page by clicking on lesson paths up at the top left, you'll see those saved playlists. Your saved playlists are ones that really, there's not a big difference between the two. So I always just go for my saved playlists. Your created ones are ones you published. So before we move on to Blend Space, are there any, do you like them? How do we feel about lesson paths? It's interesting, right? Can you see, can someone share with me like a pro, something they liked about it that they thought maybe they would use it for? Yeah.
I'm in the dual immersion program where I only see my kids for 2 hours a day. And I'm supposed to be supplementing what the French teacher is teaching, and in science, first graders and French don't get along very well. And so this will give them the supplement that they need that they can do at home.
That's perfect. I love that. Love that idea. Any other pros or things you think you might use this tool for? Yes, ma'am.
Just as the whole thing, I added
forgot what it was called, an article to the beginning and just reiterated the directions so that even though it does follow the path, it makes it very easy. Yes, these are the things you need to do. Like the quiz at the end. If I wanted them to take the quiz, it says that in the homework. Yes. You could or couldn't take the quiz after you watched the video. So.
Perfect. I love it. Awesome. Okay, so the next tool that we're going to use is called Blend Space. Blend Space is similar. And that's the reason that we're introducing it as well as the lesson paths. The reason that so Michelle is kind of the I love lesson paths, and I'm kind of the I love blend space. And we both use both of them and find good uses for them. So this is blend space. So you want to go ahead and create an account. Again, you can attach it to a Google or a Facebook, which is something I like. I like the easy Google button. I'm a fan. And then this is Blend Space. Blend Space is another one that actually, in the recent past, has changed its name. So we chose two tools that have recently changed their names. Blend Space changed it long enough ago that I actually can't remember what it used to be, which is probably good. I can't remember what it was. But it used to be something else. So this is Blend Space, and while you create your accounts for just a second, I'm going to have Michelle show Blend Space and explain how I've used it. Michelle, will you go down to week 1, Introduction to Christian Success Handout? Thank you. So I use this as a teacher of teachers for an online, completely online learning environment. And I paired it with Canvas because it embedded into Canvas. But for your purposes, it's very similar to what we just did. You are able to put videos and content that you find from other places in one location and then link or embed it to your tools. So this is my Blend Space. Michelle, if you'll push play right here. And so this is the content page that I put in for my teachers. It has our week objectives, what I want them to know. And then there's an arrow over here. I'm going to teach you how to make one, but I just want to show it to you first. So you push next. And then I have a video. This is a video I created. And I used Explain Everything because that's another tool I love. But this could be a video that you found. And I'm going to show you just the same way that hers were all videos she found. Same idea. Okay? This does use a lot of YouTube. So if YouTube is blocked in your district, so for those Canyons employees, there's ways around it here. But for some of you others, you want to be careful about using YouTube if you're in Canyons. So if you click next, then I have another text page. So I guide them through the process with these text pages that are easy to read, a little bit easier to use than the article that we showed you in the other one. You press next again, Michelle. So you can just go through this lesson, and it does have some features like quizzes and stuff that I didn't add to this one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. So if you, Michelle, will close at the top X, please, thank you, and go home. And was everyone able to make an account? Okay, I'll give you a second. Go ahead and make your accounts. Let me know if you need help.
You need to come log in. You logged it out.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Okay. Hello. I'm good, are you?
It's so long.
Just like with the one Michelle just showed you, this has a huge library that you can search from as well. So there are options.
Can we search by grade?
Can you what?
Search by grade.
Hey,
No.
I don't know. I don't know if I've tried that.
On
Chance if you search by grade.
On Lesson Pass, I found that it's just videos. So, and on some of my videos, I specified,
Right, it depends on
fraction for 5th grade. And so then you could search 5th grade, and mine would probably most likely come up. I've never searched.
It doesn't really work.
Yeah, it's
So
mostly
it's just
topic.
not,
It's just
yeah.
topic, so then you have to read.
Okay.
Because there's 8 million on the website.
Yeah. Okay, I want to make sure everyone's into their account so that they don't get ahead of you. I have a tendency to talk too fast and move too fast. Okay, so if you look at my screen, I have a bunch of lessons. I said I love this one. I use it quite a bit. And we actually just used this with our technology endorsement. We created our online digital citizenship class and put a lot of our resources into Blendspace as well. So it's one that I'm always saying, let's use it, because it's easy, and I like easy. So at the top, you click on New Lesson, and you can create classes. I feel like we've been talking about basics, and we've been talking about keeping it easy and starting small. So we're gonna not really worry about classes at this point. But if you felt like, oh, this is a tool I might use, you can split it up into classes and assign quizzes to your students with it. But we're not gonna really focus on that. So I'm just gonna do personal lessons and go on. You might need to create the name of a class when you do your first lesson. I can't remember exactly that. And so then you have a blank working space. So right here, you can, it says drop your resource. This is where your resources start to come. You can click on add, don't worry about doing it, Michelle, but you could add text, like I showed you my intro page, or you could add a quiz. I'm actually gonna start, just so that you can see the options with some of the lesson features you can add. So here on the side, you have all of these different places that you can get your content that you're gonna add. So I can search Google. So Michelle, will you click on Google? And in the Google search, type in 4th grade water cycle. I just saw someone do that. Copy that. So right now I'm searching images. I also can search the web. If I find something I like, so we're gonna pretend that I love this for my 4th graders. All I do, I can preview it here. I'm gonna, Michelle, have you close it. All I'm gonna do is click on it and drag it over into my resource. And there's that thing. So you can put a web page. You can put like an article that you find. You can put an image, and you're just dragging and dropping them. Yes, ma'am?
When you put the web page in, does it take the ads off, or does it?
It does if they're viewing it within Blendspace.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that is nice. You also, so Michelle, will you click here? So this is Open Ed, which is an education resource that you can search through. It's kind of like Google. Down here is Picasa. I am going to warn you to be careful with that tab. For you guys, you'll have your like filters and whatever, but you can get inappropriate content. So I'm kind of careful with that one. I'm kind of careful with that one. Or Flickr, I mean. So Flickr. I'm just careful with, I mean, we can handle, we can like filter ourselves, but just be careful what you're doing. This one, you can search EduCreations. So if any of you went to any EduCreations ones today, you could create your own EduCreations, publish it, and then find it and put it there. You don't have to like deal with moving, embedding, downloading, uploading, or find someone else's EduCreations and put it in. So she found, so here's one, we're just gonna pretend like I love these. They're my favorite ever.
And you preview them first.
Yes, you do. I did. I've watched all of these. But up at the top you can see, this one's a link, this one's an image, this one's a video. So I can see what they are right there. And so if you draw, like if I thought, oh, I'm putting a picture in, and it has the little video camera, you're gonna say, oh, it's not what I thought it was. So I'll put it back. So there's lots of options down here. There also is a Dropbox option, so you can pull from your Dropbox. There's a Google Drive option, so you can pull from your Google Drive. So if you use any of those in Canyon School District, we use CSD Docs. And so if you have things in your CSD Docs, those are all super nice, wonderful features. Michelle, if you'll click right here on this one. This one is a website, and so you can actually put the whole website in, and they'd be going to a web page and then be able to browse that web page. So yeah, study jams, perfect. Then she can take study jams that she told us about before.
Oh, sorry.
See that it's study jams, that's okay. She can drag it in, and now they have the actual website. When they get to that slide, they're able to explore in that website. So it's a very similar idea that I'm bringing content in for them to just go through, but there's a few more options, and that could be great for you, and that could be not what you want. And that's kind of why we focused on these two tools. But Michelle's has 4 or 5 great things that you can add, and it keeps it simple. And this can go from what you're working on already, but it can be a little bit more complex.
One of the biggest differences between Lesson Pass and Blend Space is Lesson Pass takes your kids things one at a time.
Yes.
It shows up the first thing, and then they click next, and it shows up the next thing, and then they click next. Where Blend Space is they can see everything at first, and then they click. So, and it's just, you have to teach them, we go in order.
Yes,
You click this one first,
play.
and then this one. Where Lesson Pass, they don't, I mean, they could skip around. Most of them just, no. First video is what she wants me to watch first, then I click next, and then I watch the second one. So that's what I have found is the biggest difference. So it kind of depends on the abilities of your kids too. So in first grade, I might say more Lesson Pass because they only have to click one, it shows them exactly. If you have older kids that can easily navigate multiple things at once, and like she said, you can have a lot of different options in Blend Space to pull from.
And options are wonderful, and options can be horrible.
Totally.
So that is Blend Space. Before I let you explore, yeah?
What does the student view look like?
That is a great question. It actually looks exactly like what you push when you push play. Yep. So when you push play, it takes you into the first screen. And actually, thanks Michelle, it is something that you do need to teach them. So when I told you I used this for online learning, and there was no face-to-face instruction with my adult learners. And
Why is it?
and just push play right there, yep.
I did.
Oh, I don't know why.
I know.
Okay, go back to, just click on the Blend Space home on the left. Oh, and it auto-saves.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes, I love autosave. So just click on, yeah, sure.
This is what we just did. This is what it looks like.
Perfect. So this is what the students see. And if you push play, now, oh, I know what's happening. So now you click through here. And so I said with my online learners, they were like, I can't see these arrows you're telling me about because we have multiple devices. So some are on a Chromebook, and some are on a PC, and some are on a Mac, and some are on a tablet, Android, iPad. And so I had to very explicitly teach them, you're just looking for an arrow, my friend. It might be in a different place for you. On all devices it's here, but you know, the screen size, and so they can go through with the arrows. If they can't make that work, they can go into one and press the X and go to the next. I hate that, but if there were, you know, if all else fails, then there's an option. So if you'll close that one more time, Michelle. So once I've created these, then if you'll go home, if you'll just click on home up here. Sorry. Go home. See ya. Then you can, there's multiple sharing options. And so, like if I click on this one for me, and you can see I have lots of views on some of these, and it is because they are public, and I was using them for adult learners. I was using them for something, whereas some of my other ones don't have any views, and it's because I didn't do anything with them. Some of these ones with a lot, I was using them for something. But you come right here, and when you hover over it, like right now, you can't see anything in these boxes. Hey, in these boxes, when you hover over it, the sharing options become available. So you click share, and then that's where you can get a link. So you can just put a link somewhere. That's where you can can share it here. There's an embed code that we've been talking quite a bit about. You can email it. So I had one teacher and she created a blend space for a few of her units and sent them home for the kids that missed a lot, those absent students, or sent them to parents who asked for extra support in a topic. I need extra support in addition with regrouping. Can you help us? And she just emailed them the link. She didn't put them anywhere else, and it was a good resource for her. So there's good sharing options with this. This is where you can change the privacy. So if you click on privacy, so I have some of these available to anyone because they're open for me for that. So it's in sharing and then privacy on the left. Did you find it? Okay, good. And but you can also just do anyone with the link or only me can share it. The nice thing about these is I can copy someone else's. So if I find one I like, I can create a copy of it and I can delete parts I don't want, and it does nothing to theirs. It only affects my copy. It calls it copy of. So Michelle, if you'll push that X and scroll to up over the corner, sorry.
No,
and then scroll to the bottom. I believe I have one called copy of. Okay, actually, like this one. This is not mine. It's Bobby Glassett's. And I took it, made a copy of it, took the things I wanted, and now I have it. And so there are options for you to do that. So we want to give you the last amount of this time to search and explore. We're going to actually just say we're supposed to be done in 20 minutes, so try this. Ask questions. If you need help, let us know. Rochelle gave you her the card that has our information. We both are willing to help you with any of these things that you want to try, so just let us know. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. And if you have any questions, holla. So someone just asked me an awesome question, so if you just want to listen or whatever, if you think it might apply. Someone asked me how to add text. So if you come and hover over these blank spaces, that's where that add text or add quiz option is. And when you add it, so if I wanted this as my title page, and I called it water cycles, and like you can change the sizes and whatever, it's nice in color. But if I call it that, but it's now in the wrong place, I can just click on it and drag it to wherever I want, and it'll move there. So now it's first, and then the rest of mine follow. So you can move them around afterwards. So I like the you can plan as you go idea.
This is save on its own. So I'm going to have to hit it to save.
Say it again? No, it automatically saves. Yep. So as we finish up, do you have any other questions for Rochelle of what she's done or about these tools we showed you? Okay, you guys have been awesome, thank you. So just play with it as long as you want to, and feel free to get out of this hot room anytime in the next few minutes.
it is really hot in here.
We're meeting back in the tech atrium in about 10 minutes, so you're good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job, Michelle.
And you set this autosave so I don't have to.